Oh my goodness. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Kelly. Miss Kelly.
We're here.
We are.
We're here. And welcome everyone. Thank you for logging in.
It's another Wednesday night in the Below.
It is. And it's it's interesting, man. It is definitely interesting. Okay. I'm gonna I clicked the button and didn't look at it. So I don't know what I actually clicked, but what normally pops up didn't pop up.
Yeah.
It should ding in your inbox.
Yeah, I got something here. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
So hey everybody, it's us. We're back. Real Talk with Kelly and Carl. Um, our topic tonight is dealing with racial trauma fatigue. You know, I know that I recommended the topic, Carl, but ever since I was texting earlier, I'm like, I really don't know if I want to do that because that is going to require some energy that I'm not sure I have. But I stuck with it, and so folks, we don't know what's going to happen on this show tonight. But I do have my tissue. I'm prepared for the tears. And so it just we'll play it by ear and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I am tired. And of course that's where the topic came from. And we talk, of course, offline, and it just I'm tired, and having this dual role where I have to focus on race every day is tough. It's not just the fact that, I wake up and have to deal with race every day being Black, but I then have to check into work and then deal with race on a whole different level as a part of my job. And I know that other people are feeling the fatigue, whether they work, doing this, type of work that we do in health and healthcare and health equity. It just is extremely exhausting. And so I'd like to talk about some of the solutions, some things that I do, some things that you do to help people, because we really are dealing with, fatigue, trauma and fatigue of trauma, at levels that we probably haven't seen in a very long time.
No, and it seems like it just keeps compounding. Yeah. One of the main issues is, and this is it's like the double-edged sword of the media. And granted, the media has its place, but you really can't get away from it. Whether it be traditional media, social media, the only way to get to remove yourself is to literally unplug.
And you have to unplug from more than just the phone and the computer. You have to unplug from people. Like, you have to become a hermit.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like, take a silent retreat or whatever, right? Just give us. But how many of us can actually do that? I mean, granted, there's some people I know who live alone, who we've talked about this before, because the pandemic may not be working, or maybe in circumstances where they have time they can spend by themselves. Others may not. Others may have obligations, work obligations, family obligations, to some degree, where you're required to be around others.
Right.
And I don't know. Yeah, there's no break. And it's interesting, because I'm not complaining. It's just more of a reality, right? I think the thing that it seems like it's coming to me in terms of what I'm believing is that for someone like myself, for someone like you, who, individuals know what we do, we're a source for information. We're a source for people who need answers. And many times we're expected to have answers for people. I got a call just tonight from actually friend of my parents. He's got to be pretty up there in age. I'll just put it that way. And looking for help for a family member. And so, yeah, and that's not at all uncommon. And I'm sure you have the same thing. And on top of that, asking for help for a family member who wants to talk to someone that they can relate to. And you and I have had this discussion many times before.
Right.
So, that's an add-on to the additional things that perhaps they weigh on me. I mean, I think about just the state of where people are at right now, mentally and emotionally, and man, it seems like threads are being pulled, and fuses are short, and yeah, I think people are becoming, I guess the term threadbare, right? Because it's worn out, right? And so I know we're going to talk about some of the ways to do that, to cope with that, but that's just reality, and I'm not the only one. So I'll leave it to this: I know many people who work in the helping professions, counselors. Because I'll just real quick. So I'm working on a project, as you know, Kelly, with CAO. And I'm delivering mental health related services for folks in their Silver Senior program and other programs at CAO. And it's interesting how the people I've talked to who express interest, who I've been meeting with, it's like they just need somebody to talk to. I mean, just someone to talk to. And you realize how much the pandemic has affected people who don't have that opportunity to socialize or connect with others like they typically would. So it's hard. And I mean, so that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's of course people who have other conditions that make matters even worse for them if they're dealing with things mentally, emotionally.
And so when it comes to really addressing the elephant in the room, because there's plenty of talk still, not as much as before, but still plenty of talk about mental health and the pandemic and coronavirus and vaccination, and that conversation is still being had. But I find it typical, right, that the conversations around race and reconciliation and racial trauma, historical trauma, racial inequities is decreasing. And we've been on a decline since January.
Right.
And so a lot of people will say, oh, that's great. We're making such progress. No, it means people are becoming complacent, right? And with the verdict that was handed down, one of my, powers, my reversal of signs and symptoms of borderline personality disorder is to disassociate and to step out of a situation and be able to see. I use it to my advantage when it occurs, to be able to see things from different perspectives, right? And which is a whole different conversation. But when I look at how far we haven't come, when I look at the fact that people are in tears and crying and shouting and hollering hallelujah because someone who clearly is guilty of murder was found guilty of murder, says a lot. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I wasn't ecstatic, I wasn't relieved, I wasn't happy. Those people did their job. So when I do my job, people don't get up and shout hallelujah, thank God Kelly came to work today. Right? You're supposed to do your job.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, it wasn't just, this officer with a clean record who, it was some accidental crazy situation that occurs, some small percentage of all of the murders that happen in these cases. But it was obvious with someone who has a horrible record. The police officer has a horrible record, not the victim, George Floyd, right? So we are singing and happy and people, and at the same time, a 14-year-old girl loses her life because she's shot by the police, right? And it doesn't stop. And so, and I keep myself out of the news. I keep myself out of social media I don't feed my eyes or my ears with a lot of the streams of information that are coming out there. I can't take it. It's overwhelming to me, for my mental health. And so for us to still be in this situation, again, this is what was supposed to happen. We should have expected a guilty verdict. Unfortunately, at the same time, is as upsetting as it is for a girl to lose her life, a child to lose her life at the same time, that this verdict is rendered. I hope that the people that think we've made such great strides, the people that think, America has come such a long way in 4 months, are really paying attention. Because it is impossible to continue to show up every day as if everything is okay, when everything is not okay. Right. And, we're making space with meetings and things like that I'm in. People are making space to have conversations. I don't want to talk about that at work. Right. If this meeting is about ordering paper, then I want to talk about ordering paper. If y'all need to talk about race and reconciliation, you need to do that outside of my presence. I'm not here for that. I'm getting paid to help y'all order some paper. I don't get paid to help people order paper, but I just want to use a very plain, experience that no one can point to and say, oh, I was in that meeting, right? Because every single meeting I'm in, and I appreciate it, but we have to be wise and use wisdom and judgment in opening up that conversation in an open forum, like a work meeting. So what are some things folks can do, Carl? You can be like me and you can leave the meeting when it happens.
Yeah.
Which I do. I have done. Because I want to give people the opportunity to speak. I can't hear it. And me being in the room for that particular part of the conversation, I don't need to be there for that. So somebody just send me a quick text message when you guys are all done, and I'll come back into the meeting. Yeah. Additionally, not feeding yourself the information. So not going to the news sites, not listening to, conversations on streaming platforms. Being very, very particular about the information that you take in. Have an outlet, have somebody to talk to. Whether it's a therapist or, a friend. I have a friend and I, we were just talking a little while ago. I'm like, all right, we're going to implement the 5-minute vent session. Like, we get 5 minutes to talk about whatever we want. So talk fast if you got a lot of stuff to get off your chest. But then after that, we dive into regular friendship talk. Because, we both still need to get stuff out. Yeah. But we'll sit and harp and talk about a thing until we've talked about it 15 times and come back around and figured out another way that something can happen. It's too much. Yeah. Right. So still giving us, the opportunity and grace to acknowledge emotions and acknowledge situations, but After that 5 minutes, we know that it's done, and now we can move on and talk about the snow in Buffalo, New York, and my vegetables that are probably going to freeze and die.
I saw
The
your
bike
post.
ride. There's a
Saw your
25
post.
mile bike ride on Saturday. There are wonderful things still happening, and um, you have to be able to really find the joy, right? Just find it. However you do it, find it. Thanks, Tabitha. You use that, girl. You go ahead. You can go ahead and use that. So for the folks that are out there, what are some things, we can't help. If you're Black, you're going to wake up Black tomorrow. I mean, like, this, it's not something you can change. It's not something that most folks can hide, let alone should we, hide our identity. But how are you guys coping? How are you guys making it happen for yourselves? How about you, Carl?
I don't know. For me, I think I just try to, well, honestly, I throw myself into my work. And so I do focus on that a lot, especially, during the day and so forth. And I don't know. Obviously I watch the news. I mean, I don't, in fact, my wife is a CNN fan. But still, I have to remember the bigger picture. And I'm going to get a little metaphysical here, but I really believe that ultimately there is a greater power at work. Whatever that power is, it's beyond me, because if I could figure it out, then I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
You're right.
But I believe, and not to say that everything is destined or everything is meant to be. Some people say it's not. I'm going to say it's that cliche, but I really believe that we're here as individuals to learn. Right? Life is a classroom, right? In fact, I was talking. I do coaching. I was talking to one of my clients the other night, and I said, it's not like life, is a test, but it's like it's a series of quizzes. And so the idea that I really believe that we, like I said, we are really trying to get through this thing called life, relying on our ability to manage the challenges we have with what we got. And for me, faith is a big part of my toolbox, I guess you could call it. I've experienced a lot of things in my life that I've had to rely on my faith just to get through. But I also have to have faith in humanity. I have to have the belief that good does overcome evil. That's why, my wife, we started watching The Falcon and the Winter Snowman, whatever that thing is. So she says to me, she says, well, we really need to watch the whole Marvel series to get what this is all about. And I was like, because I've watched some of them, but she's with him also. I said, okay. So the other night we watched the first Iron Man movie. That's I guess the first in the series of all these Marvel movies. But I really enjoyed it. Not just because it was Robert Downey Jr. and all the tech stuff, but it's classic good versus evil. Right? And it's very archetypal. It's classic, in terms of just how it's all set up. But ultimately, good always wins. It's sort of like, light shall always overcome the darkness. And I have to hold on to that. I have to believe that. And there's a lot of darkness that we deal with. But I have to believe that ultimately there's something whether it be in this lifetime or the next, that will make it all worthwhile. I'm just saying,
And
that's just me.
yeah, no, and I hear you. Go ahead.
No, and I'm just saying that's really that's what I try to rely on and keep me going and keep me motivated and understand that it's it is hard. Life is hard. Life's very hard. So I can't get through this thing just on my own. I have to believe in something greater than myself to do that.
And Vicky's comment really speaks to me. If I don't, they won't. So I do. I'm okay with it. I am too, Vicky. And I think for me, the line there again are these multiple perspectives. But in my personal life, because I do during the day, I don't want to do at night. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's my job, to dive in and to help people see and to understand. And I'm thankful I work with people that want to see and are doing the work. There are so many people that are doing our kind of work with folks that don't believe that this is all real. They don't believe that racism is real. They don't believe that, an innocent man can be killed by a police officer. They don't believe in microaggressions. I just wanted to compliment and touch your hair. How is that wrong? Right? That people don't see it. So I'm thankful that I work with folks that do. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that it's not exhausting. Right. And so when it comes to how because that is my work, I need to make sure I separate my personal life. Right. And so I've had to take a step away from social media. So in November, I did a 30-day challenge and I did some other stuff in December. My fellowship started January, really started December. But in doing that work and knowing what was coming, I knew to be proactive, talking about self-care, I knew I had to cut some stuff off my list. There were some things I had to get off of the list and off my plate. Mm-hmm. And I had to do that in order to make room for me and my clients and my work. Because I can't be coaching somebody and I don't have energy. I'm not there. I'm off cycling somewhere and not bicycling, but cycling in a mental health episode. Right. So I had to cut that other stuff out so that I could focus on what was necessary and important. Because the folks at work need me to show up. First of all, I need me to show up. I need to be good with me. But my folks need me to show up and be able to do the work they have hired me to do and work that I'm called to do. Same thing with my clients, right? I got to show up for them. I can't be like, I really just want to lay on the couch today. I know your life is important to you, but I can't allow myself to get to that place. So I cut out the extra stuff so that I have the energy for them. So those three things, right, I need to make sure are always taken care of, those buckets.
Right.
And so because it's exhausting, Vicki, spoke to it in the comments, I have to make sure that I stay full. I have to make sure I'm proactive. I have to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do on the checklist, on the, watching movies to keep me focused on, the fun, the joy, the laughter, because the work is so dark. Mm-hmm. I know victory is at the end. Like that is a non-issue. But it's like knowing that you're going to win the Super Bowl, but you're going to win the Super Bowl. It's already been decided. You just got to stay in the game and get there.
That's a great point.
Right. And so in staying in the game, you may have to be like, Coach, I need to sit out for a play. But you know that you win the Super Bowl. The victory has already been established. So it's how you manage yourself, how you take care of yourself throughout the season so that you stay in the game. Right. I don't want to have to be pulled out of the game and sent to the locker room because I didn't take care of myself on the field. Right. It's that I have to be that focused. And because I know that we are victorious.
Mm-hmm.
I can take all that stuff that I know doesn't need to be done and put it to the side so I can focus on the things that I do need to focus and concentrate on.
Yeah. And you make a
Yeah.
really good point about staying in the game. I was getting all, like I said, all lofty, but there is still the practicality of the day to day, right? How do we focus on getting through the day, right? And that's where the challenge lies. I'm a firm believer that in the idea of one day at a time, right? That's
Right.
that's a axiom from a 12-step program, and or just for today, which is another one. And so I try to focus on today, because you know what? If I start thinking about tomorrow, next week, or the week after, or 2 months from now, in a lot of these things, I get way overwhelmed.
Mhm.
So I try to, mind you, I plan things out and all that, but I really try to stay focused on today, because there's just so much going on that it is easy to just get lost. I had a dream, a really weird dream. I think it was just last night, where it's weird. I was running. It's just from I was running with my daughter, like jogging, running, whatever. And it was a marathon. That's right. It was a marathon, and there weren't a lot of people in it. Like, at least that, I mean, we were towards the front, and there's a few people, and there's this young couple there, younger couple, and we're running, and a small group, and then they said, okay, we're going to drop back. So then we went to the front, and then I went ahead and realized, wait a minute, I'm running by myself. I looked back, and, there's my daughter, right? And then so I was waiting for her, and then I realized after a second, then she goes up like this hill, whatever, and I'm going up these stairs to catch her. And when I hear this person say, "What are there? You just went, a mile out of the way, or whatever. No, you went 10 minutes out of the way, right?" And then, like I woke, the dream ended, whatever. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I these dreams, like where the heck am I going? And it's kind of weird how, I think I just try to turn over and believe that it's going to be okay. And granted, I think about myself. I think about my family. I think about those in my world. My bubble, my social bubble, my family bubble, and then my extended, my coworkers, so forth. These are people I pray for every night. And you know, uh, and we know that unfortunately there are things that happen in life that may be unexpected, or we just don't know.
Right.
But getting back to what you're talking about, like just dealing with the realities of being a Black person in America, then you're talking about this added on stress, right? This day-to-day stress, which then, as you and I both know, creates health issues, physical health issues, and even mental health issues that can be very difficult to manage. But it all comes from stress and inflammation. So yeah, so how do you manage that? How do you cope with that? How do you take care of yourself? And I was with a woman today, and I'm not gonna get all the details, but I'll just leave it this way. This woman was on so many medications. I looked at this like, my God. I mean, she was like a walking like Rite Aid. All these medications. Now, mind you, she's been through a lot. I'm not saying they're for no reason, but it's like, dang, you were on a lot of medication. And there's a lot of people. I mean, I take my fair share. To be honest with you, I take my fair. But there's a lot of people that are just like on these things just to survive.
Right. And how much of that is brought on by stress, exacerbated by stress.
Right.
and stressors that you have no control over,
Mhm.
right? You don't control the now illegal but often still implemented redlining. You don't control the laws that and policies that govern the land. We don't control a lot of things. And so even if you do everything in your power to do the right thing, for some of us, if you are not aware and aren't consciously processing that stuff, your body is going to process it. So either you do it purposely, right? Or your body will still process the racism. It'll still process the microaggressions.
Mhm.
It'll still process, all those systemic issues, and it will come out of you in some unhealthy way.
Right.
So it's imperative that we do as much as we can, knowing that there are systemic things out there, knowing that there are things outside of our control. We still have to do as much as we can in order to be healthy. And that's going to come out in different ways for different folks. Thanks to Vicky, installed the Shine app last week, and that is my new meditation regimen. Carl, they send you reminders. So I do morning. They have a midday. I don't always get the midday, and they have one at night. I love it. The tone, the addressing the here and now, what's happening today. Not, I don't have to figure out what it is I want to work on. They, guide me into whatever the day is about. And so I thank you, Vicky, for recommending that. It definitely worked for me. And in the last week, I've recommended it to several people. And the other thing I want to make sure that I mention is our event next week.
Mm-hmm.
So our event next week, do you want to read Tabitha's comment while I tell folks? So
my
next
son
week,
saw me shed some tears this morning reading of young Makia and asked me what was wrong. I said, I can't imagine being in fear of every day of actually losing you to a situation that talking to you could have saved your life. The emotional vortex of current events is deafening. My son asks more and more about fearful thoughts he has around police these days. My question, how would you suggest those conversations with a young teen? Oh, well, maybe that's something we could take offline.
Yeah, that's
a whole, because we are wrapping up, but perhaps I can reach out directly. How's that?
And so, that is something we should talk about that maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe next week will be good.
Having that conversation.
With kids.
Tabitha, thank you for sharing. It is, you have to find that balance of first of all, as a parent, you have to parent how you parent. And no matter what you do, your children will have issues, right? Every human has issues. You do the best that you can, but I don't know of one person that has ever walked this earth, save one, that did not have issues. And so you know your child, right? And it is being as real and honest as you feel you need to in an age appropriate manner. What you talk about with the 14-year-old, you can't necessarily talk about. A 3-year-old won't be able to comprehend. A 7-year-old, you can't have the same kind of conversation. So that's a great question, Tab.
Yeah, we should cover that next week, maybe kind of going that deeper. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. So more about the event next Thursday.
All right. So next Thursday on the 29th of April from 6:30 to 8 p.m., the Buffalo Center for Health Equity, which has a mental health coalition, which I lead and Carl is a part of as well, is having an event called Too Much and Not Enough. It is open to the public, no matter where you live. If you are awake between the hours of 6:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we encourage you to join us. We are really going to be solution and skills focused. There's a lot of conversation around the problems, what the issues are within relationships, within COVID and racial um, uh, trauma and historical trauma. There's a lot of conversation about the stats and how things are, but we want people to walk away with tools, with resources, with the ability to manage your emotions. We're not talking about changing relationships or changing people, but the focus is on the individual. So there's 6 different breakout sessions. We have a session specifically for men. We have a session specifically for teens. Tabitha, it may be a great opportunity for your son to be able to gain some skills in dealing with relationships, and how to be there for a friend. His friends, they're having these conversations, right? So making sure that they have the tools that they need. So the teens breakout session is for teens only. It's not for parents. Parents go in another room and join one of the other groups so that your teens can have the space that they need. The same thing for men. The group for men is for men only, right?
Yep.
Anyone else, you need to join another group. We will be talking about intimate romantic relationships. That's going to be led by Aaron and Moss. Caregiver-parent relationships is going to be led by Dr. Kelly Lucci. Isolation, grief, and loss is going to be covered by Dr. Linda Passar and Pastor Garney Davis. Carl will be leading the group for men only. We have Katie Walsh from a Buffalo organization, Compeer, that will be leading the session for teens. And I will be leading the breakout session, a general session on boundary setting and really balancing this too much and not enough aspect of life. So all of that information can be found on the Buffalo Center for Health Equity website. I'll put that in the comments. It's buffalohealthequity.org. You can register there, absolutely free. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for folks to be able to walk away with some resources and tools to better manage relationships during this time.
Also tomorrow, actually, I'm doing a town hall on Channel 7, WKBW. They're doing a mental health town hall from 5:30 to 6. So I'll be on there. Eileen Buckley and Keith Radford are
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember the other. There's a clinician. Oh, Lynch. I think Lynn Shine. I think her name is. Yeah, a local clinician. I think that's the name. She's also going to be there. Local licensed mental health counselor. So the two of us are going to be on there talking about mental health. And I would be remiss, Ms. Kelly, if I didn't mention the Mental Health Versus podcast, which is in full effect. 2 episodes in the can, including a great one this past Saturday that was uploaded with my daughter, Sarah. And it was a fun, great conversation. And talk about coping skills. I mean, the young woman's only 25, and she was just dropping knowledge left and right about how she copes with her mental health and what she does and how she uses music. So, and this week coming up on Monday, I have Tina Peel, Tina is a former radio personality, friend from the WNY days. So once again, another person. What's that?
Clergy member. Gone from talking to listening.
She's chaplain. Yeah. She's a chaplain, recent chaplain. So yeah, it's going to be, once again, we're going to get into some other kind of things. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And you might learn some things too.
And I'm coming. My date's on the calendar.
You are. You're the next. In fact, you are on May 1st. Well, we're recording May 1st. We're going to come out May 3rd. But yes, you're next. You're coming real soon.
So there are some resources and tools, guys. That is a virtual event. BuffaloHealthEquity.org is where you can register. Virtual will be in Zoom. Most folks are familiar with Zoom, but we'll go through the bells and whistles, which is really just a couple buttons, before we kick it all off. So share that event, folks. We would love to have more people in the room. And then there's some other things coming. Oh, the 29th. That's a paid event. I had to find the flyer. There is a health equity, diversity and inclusion conference. It's also virtual, being led by Sarah Taylor. I'm on a panel on research within the Black community. If I remember, guys, I'm not going to lie. If I remember, I'm going to put it in the comments. But it's quite possible I may forget. I'm making notes myself right now. So with that, I know we're after 9 o'clock. Okay, I made a note to myself. Hopefully in the next 3 minutes while we wrap up, I won't forget that I made a note to myself to post this event in the comments for you guys. But if you are in need of, well, firstly, a medical emergency, if you're having a medical emergency or a psychiatric emergency, please head to your nearest emergency room or dial 911 on your phone. If you are looking for resources, though, you don't know where to go, maybe you want to talk to someone, you need to talk to someone, but you don't know, how to find a therapist or what number to call first. You might be looking for a caregiver resources. You can dial 211 on your phone, or you can go to 211 in your browser, and it will take you to the local 211 website wherever you are. And you can do a keyword search for any type of services you may be looking for. Carl?
First and foremost, the Community Health Center Buffalo is offering mental health first aid training, and mental health first aid is a program that helps to raise awareness about mental health. It helps you identify the signs, symptoms, how to help someone in crisis. So our next training is May 5th. The one after that is May 19th. For more information, you can email me, and perhaps I should put my email address in here somewhere.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know if I can. kshallahorn@chcb.net.
Oh,
and so
yeah, I'm going to give everybody your personal business. Okay, wait, K.
Yeah, that's my CHCB.
At where? CHCB.net?
CHCB.net. So yes, we have trainings coming up. You can contact me to register. Also, if you are in crisis and you feel at risk of taking your life, please call Crisis Services of Erie County. That number is 716-834-31. The number at Narca County Crisis Services is 716-285-3515. And the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-TALK, or text HELP to 741-741. Local mental health resources at Mental Health Advocates of West New York at mhawny.org, 886-1242. Or you can go to Mental Health America at Mental Health America. mentalhealthamerica.net. No, .org. I'm sorry. mentalhealthamerica.org.
You can also ask Google or Siri for any of those contact information thingies, and they'll pop up for you. If you're looking to reach Carl or I put our websites, shallowhornconsulting.com and frontseatlife.com, in the comments as well. We want to make sure that you stay connected. So share this, like this. Come back next week, Wednesday. We will be, I think we're going to dive in and talk about Tabitha's request next week, Wednesday. So until then, take care of yourself, guys, and be the light.
Yes, be well.